Hi, my dear friends. Today, I'd like to share with you my new story that I wrote in Russian and in English. In English, it is called Signs at Hand, and in Russian, Подсказки, всегда рядом. Life gives us signs every day. It gives us hints where to go, which door to open, and which it's better to ignore, and not always we see these signs, not always we notice and recognize them. Sometimes we just ignore or brush them aside. Sometimes we just don't pay enough attention. And my story I started with an interesting quotation of Paulo Coelho. It says, "Miracles occur all around us. Signs from God show us the way. Angels plead to be heard, but we pay little attention to them." Unfortunately, sometimes this is true. Unfortunately, miracles are always at hand. So let's get started. When a new baby comes to the earth, it looks so pretty, so sincere, so pure on the one hand, but so sensible, naked and defenseless in front of many tornadoes which are already waiting for him in the near future on the other. It seems there is no guide and no instruction to a newborn person, revealing how to behave and act in that immense unknown world, who you are and what for you are here. The child is like a blank piece of paper where, in the first turn, parents, brothers and sisters and grannies and grandpas, followed by other relatives, friends, classmates and teachers, can write everything they want. And usually, all of them tend to express diverse tastes and preferences, contradictory opinions about one and the same subject, strongly believing in own rightness of the understanding of what the real world means. How to survive and find the best and the most suitable way in such multitudes of thoughts and ideas. How not to get confused in such mass of opinions, united by one message. Of course, I know better. To be honest, I'm really fascinated that a kid, despite all the flows of weird information besetting him from all sides, finally finds his own individuality and displays his particular character. Even the children in one family, growing up together in a similar manner, are never equal. Surely they have a lot of common traits and physical similarities, but their personal world is drastically different. Then, the piece of paper is not as blank as it might appear at the first glance, and every creature, even an animal, exercises his personality. However, the question about the life guide stays open. How do I understand whether I'm moving in the right direction or not? Whether the wishes and the advice of my close people are good and useful for me? In fact, no one never lives isolated from the external world. Willy-nilly, we all have to interact and to take decisions, even if we decide to curl up and seclude ourselves from society. Every day, you would wake up, open your eyes, get up and engage in certain activities with inherent consequences. Whether we want it or not, but we create ourselves as well as the environment in which we get settled without a pause, non-stop. The most curious thing is that the roadmap every person strives to find is always at hand, both within and around us. However, we have to learn to notice and interpret our life manual correctly. It's like the difference between a pedestrian and a driver. A pedestrian doesn't often pay attention to all traffic signs. A driver has to recognize in good time to avoid accidents. Might be the pedestrian even doesn't possess a driver license at all, and thus is not able to understand that Chinese puzzle. However, the driver knows every icon of the road, and the better he follows the icons, the smoother he drives. The same can be applied to the hints that life provides us in the daily routine. They stick always around, though sometimes barely visible, in particular in the turmoil of the weekdays. My mom was born in the heart of Russia, in Tula Oblast. At the age of 6, she with her family moved to Lugansk, a picturesque green city in eastern Ukraine, being at that time the part of the Soviet Union, and after graduating from the university under the graduate placement scheme, she found her new home in Yekaterinburg in the center of Urals and settled there. However, she always told me she would like to live in St. Petersburg and thought it would be good for me to live there as well. It was difficult for her to feel at ease in the severe and unpredictable weather conditions, far from her relatives living in other places. As a result, I also thought I should once change my place of residence, and since I had been learning foreign languages from the very early age, I thought my new home might be either Europe or St. Petersburg. For the first time, I seriously considered the opportunity to live abroad when I was 26, worked as interpreter and English teacher at telecom company Motive, and was married to Ivan, my age mate and a smart engineer whose younger sister was half Russian and half Hungarian, since his mother had got married for the second time to a nice Hungarian man and lived in Budapest for more than 10 years. Of course, to move to Hungary we needed to learn Hungarian, but with my good common of French, English and German and eternal thirst for knowledge, it didn't seem to be a big problem for me, and I and Ivan mutually decided I could teach him easily after I had acquired a certain experience in Hungarian myself. We started the preparation in September 2011 to make everything ready by early spring of the following year. A lot had to be arranged. When I discussed this possibility with my husband, he seemed to be in favor of such a shift. However, he didn't show too much enthusiasm about the idea itself. I was the main driver of the whole process. Ivan just reluctantly supported me in my preparation activities for moving abroad. His mother and relatives in Budapest didn't display either a lot of joy about us coming to them not for a simple vacation period, but for a permanent stay. Already at that beginning stage, I should have been more attentive to the phrases, behavior, and overall half-hearted attitude of Ivan and his family, which were actually clear signs I preferred to brush aside. I was fully captivated and obsessed with the idea of living abroad, not reflecting too much where the roots of my buzz back had been stemming from. In the course of the next 6 months, I and Ivan faced plenty of hurdles in terms of gathering documents, issuing invitations, lack of support, and repeated suggestions to postpone our move to Budapest from our families and friends. The most crucial part was to obtain visitor visas, and Hungarian authorities, tooth and nail, didn't want us to stay more than a month in the country, although Ivan's mother applied for long-term visas many times, handing over all necessary papers which confirmed our family ties. I think we have got a visa refusal about 3 times. Both I and Ivan had the feeling as we were bumping up against the invisible wall. And as for Ivan, he didn't appear to bother about the negative answers from the Hungarian consulate at all. In fact, he enjoyed the mode of life he had and agreed on changes only for the purpose to do me a favor, not understanding the irrevocable consequences of such a sweet service. Thus, if that was in his power, he would have accepted the option to stay and live further in Yekaterinburg. However, my astrological zodiac sign is Taurus. Moreover, I was born in the year of the bull, and every person knowing me, even scarcely, acknowledged I was extremely stubborn and persistent, and if I had a burning desire to do something, nothing could prevent me from doing it. In this view, I reminded a bit of an obstinate move. But as any person, I had a good excuse. I was young, energetic, green, and wet behind the ears. At the age of 26, I only began to learn how one should recognize and deal with signs that life sent him for help in taking a proper decision. Plus, I didn't realize what really wanted, and at that time I was convinced that the dream to live somewhere outside Yekaterinburg was mine and not encouraged by my mother, relatives, friends, and other people. That important lesson to comprehend what your sincere dreams are lied yet in wait for me. It was the end of March 2012, and in a week Ivan and I should fly to Budapest, but we still didn't obtain a long-term Schengen visa. Just 5 days before our trip we received a refusal again. I was all nerves since all preparations had been completed, including giving our flat for a rent from the upcoming month, finishing working tasks and saying goodbye to colleagues and moreover communicating to all our friends and relatives that we were leaving. Might be I had to stop and look over the whole situation at that decisive moment, which tried to convey me a message with a bold text. Olga, don't fly, you're making a mistake. However, I used to go to the Met despite everything. It was sort of a sport competition for me, in the first turn with myself to show I can. And our move to Hungary I deemed as a do-or-die situation, having already forgot about my initial purpose of living in Europe for our mutual well-being with my husband, and focusing instead on the only goal, to demonstrate the whole wide world I could accomplish whatever I had chosen. At that time I even didn't reflect too much whether I really wanted to live all my life in Europe, far from family, friends, and Russian unique culture and mentality. Do or die, those were the only words running in my head. And as a smart and inventive lady, I decided to apply to the Austrian Consul General, located in Yekaterinburg, for 3-month touristic visas, planning to prolong or change them on site. Within the weekend, I managed to collect all necessary documents. I found a hotel in the center of Budapest, which had surprisingly easily confirmed my room reservation for 3 months in advance without any preliminary payment or indication of bank card details. Thanks to my quick tongue, the hotel manager seemed even happy to execute the official confirmation I demanded with the company's stamp and his signature. In fact, hotels are usually reluctant to send you any official documents or to book you a room for a long period without any deposit at their peril and risk, since you can easily cancel your reservation on the first day of arrival. So 2 days before our flight, we held our tourist visas in hands. The flight itself was fine, the weather in Budapest was also nice and pleasant, and the overall city was in full bloom. We stayed at home of Ivan's mother and her family, expecting to rent a flat in a week or 2. The first day was joyful and exciting. Ivan and I enjoyed the splendid views of Budapest and cozy time with his relatives. And late in the evening, already in bed, I told Ivan with a sigh of relief, "Oh God, finally we've done it. Now we must learn Hungarian fast and find a job for the start." At first, there was immediate silence, and then my spouse stirred slightly and answered in a little voice, "Olga, I decided I don't want to live in Europe. I can't do it. Sorry." Nothing more was said. No explanation, just that short and stupid phrase. In fact, half a shake, my whole world had turned topsy-turvy. I couldn't assume I had heard Ivan correctly. "You don't want to live here?" I asked, whispering, not believing my ears. "No, I don't. Today I finally understood. It is too hard for me. But we can stay in Europe for 3 months and imagine that we are on holidays, can't we?" He said and smiled to me like it was a one-day task and everything was fine. To be honest, I could barely think and breathe at that moment. The only idea was going round my head. How many efforts I'd put in those moving preparations, solving the issues with papers and fixing all daily questions connected with the relatives, flat, work, personal belongings to store somewhere. My beloved dog Maya, who I had had to find a new home due to many difficulties associated with her transportation, as well as how much time I had spent in the city library learning the basics of severe Hungarian grammar. I was furious to such an extent that I couldn't help but keeping silent. And first of all, I was angry with myself. There were so many hints, so many signs telling me not to fly and burn the bridges behind me. In fact, Ivan didn't quit his job. He merely took a 3-month leave without pay, explaining me his actions with a weird excuse. It is easier. I'll inform my boss later in an email to avoid all red tape. In 2 minutes I recollected those 7 months of the hard-won preparations. I remembered the lack of excitement for the part of Ivan, the multiple visa refuses from the Hungarian authorities, the frost in Ivan's mother manner while talking with us per Skype, and many other tiny and subtle items came to my mind, gathered like a snowball, and shed light on the entire picture. I was blind and deaf to the external world, telling me a lot of times to slacken the rate and to look around. Move to Hungary became a very good lesson to me, however, increasingly painful. To understand that too many hurdles on the way mean the door is closed, the door is not yours. That first night in Budapest, I saw no dreams, I just fell in the dark. Next morning, Ivan was cheerful and light-hearted and told his relatives that we had changed our minds on the eve and decided to have a rest during the coming months, to enjoy the European atmosphere and afterwards to return to Russia. I think he and his mother had already discussed that possibility, since the whole family sighed with relief. For whatever reason, they were not in favor of our idea to live in Hungary, although there were ones who had proposed to us to move to them. It seemed Ivan's mother and her new family probably couldn't expect I would take their statement seriously. I wouldn't say the following 3 months were a waste of time. Not at all. Ivan and I really needed fresh air, new emotions and impressions. Some change in our life was due. Together we explored Hungary, traveled to Czech Republic, Germany and Austria, revealing in those lands new aspects of life and feeling more like locals than tourists. But we didn't hurry, and that was positive. I also practiced my command of foreign languages, learned people from other corners of the world, brought almost a middle-sized suitcase of books in German, French and English. In general, the time was selected properly, because spring and summer usually offer the holiday makers not only pleasant, warm weather, but also a lot of cultural events and all sorts of entertainment as a priceless bonus. However, as a well-known Russian proverb says, one drop of poison infects the whole tunnel of wine. Exactly that was the feeling having settled down my heart. I smiled, I admired, I talked and laughed, I took multiple photos, I climbed on the high mountain peaks, I discovered the mysteries of the middle-aged castles, but deep inside me there was an invisible dark hole. However, it's no use over crying over spilled milk. Life doesn't come to an end or halt, and one should go forth. During the first week of our stay in Budapest, Ivan seemed to feel a bit guilty in regard to me and tried to behave tender and caring. However, if something is not within the person's nature, it is impossible for him to pretend and wear an alien mask for a long time. And taking care about others was not among Ivan's habits. Thus, in a week, he acted as if nothing were wrong and focused mostly on those things he notably wanted. Our uncompleted move to Hungary became for me not merely a serious lesson to pay more attention to the signs, hints, and changes that occur in life every day, Those 3 months abroad helped me understand how much I was missing my family, friends, and even strangers with who I shared the same Russian mentality. Many people say Russians are not as friendly as Europeans, but that's false. Agreed, we don't smile too much and are often absorbed in our thoughts. However, the unique Russian soul you'll never confuse with the soul of the foreigner. It's the soul that is in the eternal search for meaning in life, that is sincere in the emotions, whether they're joyful or sorrowful, that in the trying times would never leave you in the lurch, whatever difficulties the person experiences himself. It is also the special sense of humor, laced with sarcasm and melancholy, that is available only to true Russians. Other nations, particular and interesting as well, but their mentality, whatever the people say, is different, at least for me. When Ivan and I finally returned to Yekaterinburg, to my parents' home, because our own flat was for rent at the time, I began to look at Ivan and our mutual future with more objectivity. Since then, I started to notice how much different we were, not only in behavior but in values and in goals. It took me a long time to realize that we were not a good match anymore and prevented each other from further personal development. Yet we had lived together for another 4 years before one spring morning I saw plainly our life paths should go their separate ways, and before Ivan and I got divorced. After we had come back from Hungary to Russia, I still had to master my lesson of learning both the external and internal messages which life sends us. In the course of life, we meet various people, face situations of all kinds, and take decisions on and on every day. Sometimes we follow the bypass routes. From time to time, we knock on closed windows or enter false doors. However, things do not just happen. They bring us new knowledge and experience, define our spirit, and make us integral. And one beautiful day, we wake up and understand who we are, what we want, and which way we should go. Our past creates us today and affects our future. And finally, our past makes us a rich, many-sided and sensitive person, capable to accept himself and the others as is. Without the past, there would have been no you at present. And finally, my small poem for you, dear friends. My dreams reshape without stop, like autumn leaves, they fly and flow. Today I want to stay at home, tomorrow I would like to live abroad. And people tell me on and on which way to follow, where I should go. In all this mess of daily life, I easily lose sight of what I really like. Life sends me signs which I ignore. I battle wind and lose my goal. I'm like a sailor in the heart of storm who must lay aside his hope. But storm will still and sun will smile. One day I'll learn to see the signs of life. Slight fog still overhangs my road, but I'm not scared anymore. I sail my own boat. My dear friends, thank you very much for listening to my story. I hope that you pay attention to the hints, to the signs that life sends you every day without stop. That you look around and see how big and immense the world is around us. That you smile every day. And whether you follow the signs and hints or not, you keep moving in your direction. You keep moving to your dreams. Be happy and enjoy this great life, my dear friends. See you soon and thank you very much. Your Olga Pazdnikova.